Hey guys, welcome to Juicy Tea, where I read out the best stories on Reddit, so you don't have to. The funny, shocking, and satisfyingly juicy. Today, we're looking at the most entitled people on Reddit, where a Karen starts a plague. Entitled anti-vaxxers caused over half my class to catch the chicken pox, and then expected a thank you. Post by Nicoleaf. Back when I was in kindergarten, a kid came to class one day with the chicken pox. It wasn't a mild case either. The spots were red and angry, and within a few hours, a couple of our classmates were itching. My teacher immediately called his parents, but they refused to pick him up, saying that it'd be good for the other children to be around him and asking her to just leave him in the classroom. Now, at that point, only about half my class had gotten their chickenpox shots. My parents were really good about getting my brothers and I our shots when we were supposed to get them. But as this was early in the school year, a lot of the other parents hadn't got their kids vaccinated for chickenpox yet. My teacher didn't know what to do. The office told her that if the parents wanted the kid to remain in class, she was technically supposed to let him stay, unless the other parents complained, or the principal deemed him a danger to the other students. That day, the principal was over at the high school, on the other side of the city. He rushed over as fast as he could, but because of the school policy, the infected kid had to remain in class until he got there. My teacher asked the school secretary to call our parents, but she only had the home number for most parents and ended up with a lot of answering machines. So, in kindergarten, everyone sat at group tables, and I was at the infected kid's table. I was the only kid in our little table who'd been vaccinated, and I remember feeling really bad for one of the girls who was scheduled to get her shot the very next day. Talk about bad luck! A lot of the kids at my table started itching, and the girl that was supposed to get her shot the next day showed me her arm. It was covered in faint pink dots. I don't know if chickenpox usually moves that quickly, or if the infected kid just had some super mutant strand, but I was freaked out. I knew I'd gotten my shot, but I was also 5, and was convinced that touching the infected kid would mean that I'd die from chickenpox. So my friends and I all avoided him like he had, well, the plague. Finally, the principal burst into the room and asked the infected kid to come with him so they could call his parents. About 20 minutes later, the entitled parents showed up and went absolutely mental. The entitled mum began screaming about how both she and her husband are licensed chiropractors and know all about the evils of vaccines and how vaccines give people autism. My oldest brother has autism, and if this had happened like 5 years later, I would have roasted the hell out of these anti-vaxxers for their stupidity. The entitled dad tried to calm her down, but also quietly told the principal that as licensed chiropractors, they know and have seen how vaccines not only give children autism, but also make them gay. As a lesbian, I again would have roasted the hell out of them had this happened years later. My principal firmly told them that their kid needs to go home and can only come back when he's no longer sick. The entitled parents tried to fight back, but my principal was firm and the kid was taken home. As the week went on, more and more of my classmates dropped like flies, until only about 7 of us remained. We were the lucky 7 who'd been vaccinated prior to the start of the school year, and since most of the class was homesick, we got to play a ton of games and pick out the books we wanted to read. After a few days, my classmates began to return, not a red dot in sight. But it was a few weeks later that the real kicker happened. The entitled parents sent out emails to all the parents of the kids in my class, painting themselves as the victims and the heroes for exposing the class to life's natural vaccine. My dad was mad because even though I didn't get sick, a lot of my classmates did, and the entitled parents were actually asking for a thank you from the other parents. Needless to say, they got no thank yous, and only a lot of passive-aggressive remarks and glares in the hallway. Also, don't feel too bad for their kid. He turned out to be one of the biggest entitled douchebags I've ever met. I went to school with him all the way up through high school, and he's one of the worst human beings I've ever had the displeasure of dealing with. The entitled apple doesn't fall far from the entitled tree. I still feel bad for the kid. With such toxic parents, what chance did he really have? Am I the a-hole? My mum is upset because I lied to her and asked her to keep it a secret, and then gaslit her about it. Post by Dry Raisin 7423. My mum is 46 and she loves to gossip. I wish she didn't, but she does. I try my best not to participate, but sometimes she tells me stuff that I'd rather not know. I was having a rough time after a breakup with my boyfriend, and I made the mistake of talking to her about it. Basically, my boyfriend decided that he preferred a close friend of mine to me. She told him to get effed, and he tried coming back saying he'd made a mistake and all that. Seriously? F that guy. The next thing I know, my aunt is texting me, asking me about this friend who stole my man. That wasn't what happened. I asked my mum, what the F? And she said she was just talking the situation over with her sister. I very clearly told her to not discuss my personal life that I told her about with anyone else. If I want them to know, I will tell them. She said I was taking it too seriously, but agreed. Well, she did it again, and again, and now I'm done with her BS. I'm graduating from college in June. I already have a great job lined up with a company I interned with. I have a plan for my future. I was talking to my mum recently, and she was prying into my life. I told her I wasn't interested in talking to her about anything personal. She started crying about how she's a terrible mother and can't do anything right. I'm used to her manipulation now, so I just waited it out. After she calmed down, I told her that I actually had some big stuff going down in my life, but that I would hate her forever if she told anyone. She promised that she wouldn't tell a soul. I told her I was pregnant and might need to drop out, but that I was happy about it. After she freaked out, she said she would support me no matter what, and that she would keep my secret until I decided what I was going to do. I know it's cliche, but my phone did blow up. Relatives and friends all calling to check in on me and see if I was doing okay, and if I needed anything. I told everyone I was fine, and looking forward to graduation and my career. My aunt was the first one to break. She asked what I was going to do about the baby, and if I had really thought through my life if I had a kid. I told her I wasn't pregnant, I never had been pregnant. I asked her who was spreading such awful rumours about me. She wouldn't say. But it got around too. Eventually my mum called to ask, and I said I had no idea what she was talking about, and maybe she dreamed it or something. She is pissed about it and thinks I'm gaslighting her, which I suppose I am. But I feel bad now that everyone thinks she's lying, and she can't prove otherwise. Am I the a-hole? No! Don't feel bad! This is fantastic! It's actually kind of genius. No one will ever believe her mum's gossip after this, so even if she does continue to spread her personal stuff around, no one will know what's real and what isn't. I don't care if you're living here. My daughter wants to rent. Post by Glory of Dawn. My wife and I met online and got married in my hometown. After the wedding, I moved to Mississippi to be with her. She had a full ride and assistantship at Mississippi State, so it didn't make sense for her to give that up. We were fortunate in that her grandfather had an extra property that he wasn't using, and he let us stay there rent-free. It's basically just a shack in the middle of the woods that was built by an idiot who had no business playing with Legos, much less building an actual structure. But hey, it's free! My wife's schedule varies, and she was alone at the house when the entitled mother showed up. So my wife had someone drive up to the shack. Our house is really out of the way, so we don't get that many random visitors. She was going for a handgun when she saw a slightly older lady walk by the window. Not seeing her as a threat, my wife answered the door. Wife, can I help you? Entitled mother, yes, I want to rent this place for my daughter. Wife, oh, sorry, but me and my husband are living here. Entitled mother, well, my daughter is in college and she needs a place to stay. Wife, well, that's great and all, but like I said, I live here. Entitled mother, I was hoping to talk to the owner. Wife, getting irritated. No, the house isn't for... Entitled mother, I know him personally, you see, and I wanted to talk to him about renting. Wife, I don't care if you know him. Your daughter can't stay here. My husband and I live here. What aren't you getting about that? Entitled mother, young lady, I'm sure the owner won't appreciate that you're talking to me like this. Wife, well, I'm sure my grandfather won't give a damn that I told you that your daughter's gonna have to find another place to live. Entitled mother looked shocked that the owner was actually my wife's grandfather, and that she wasn't some random squatter living in his house. She huffed, turned on her heel, and went back to her car. My wife then went back inside and created a sign, that is still taped to our door to this day. We are not and will not be renting. If you like this video, please let me know and subscribe for more juicy tea.